Hey everybody, welcome back to this amazing channel. Today we have an incredible guest in store for you guys. He is a legend, Dr. Neal Barnard. He needs no introduction, but I did write one out, and usually I don't read it off a paper, but he is a man who has accomplished so many things, so I just want to get it right. And he is huge in the vegan and plant-based community. He has a new book coming out as well. Many of you know him from the Physicians Committee, and he is also a psychiatrist, I believe, a musician, so many different things, a doctor. He's led numerous studies on how diet affects things such as diabetes, weight, hormones, chronic pain, and more, and just so many things. So it's going to be an absolute honor and pleasure to speak to him today. You guys have so many great questions for him as well. So let's hop into it. Hey, doctor, how's it going?
It's going great. It's good to see you, Gillian.
Yeah, great to see you. So many things we need to talk about today. But I wanted to start with your specific plant-based journey because I don't think I know that. So I'd really love to know what sort of started your passion with this and what led you into this. Did you have like a personal transformation story? What happened there?
Well, it was something for me a little bit unexpected. I have to say, I grew up in Fargo, North Dakota, where people don't necessarily eat off the most healthful page. And my first job was at McDonald's as a kid. So anyway, so I had a long way to go. But when I was the year before I went to medical school, I had a job in a hospital. And my job was, the job title was morgue attendant. And what that really means is if somebody dies in the hospital, their body got shipped to the morgue. And so when the pathologist wanted to do an autopsy to determine the cause of death, I would take the body, forgive me for this, this is not, this is kind of creepy stuff to talk about, but this is the truth. So I had to take the body out of the cooler and put them on the table and help with the exam. So one day there was a person who died in the hospital of a massive heart attack, maybe from eating hospital food, but that's another story.
Yeah.
So anyway, the pathologist knew that I was going to go to medical school. So he wanted to make sure that I got a real graphic education. So he opened up the chest, and you don't do this with great delicacy. He took like a garden clipper and went crunch, crunch, crunch through the ribs on this side, and crunch, crunch, crunch up this side. And he pulled these ribs off the chest and put them on the table. And with the ribs gone, then you could see the heart. And he said, look here. And he sliced open a coronary artery. And he would give me these lectures. He said, you call them coronary arteries because they crown the heart. And that's where the oxygen gets to the heart muscle. And he said, feel the inside of this artery. And I had gloves on, so I felt it. And it's supposed to be kind of rubbery and a wide open artery, but it felt like a clay pipe stem. And he said, that's atherosclerosis. And then we looked at the arteries to the brain, same problem. The arteries to the kidneys, the same problem. So he said, Neal, this is your bacon and eggs. It's cholesterol is what caused this problem. So at the end of the exam, he writes up all his findings, systemic atherosclerosis, da, 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 and he leaves. So I'm left. I got to clean up the body. So I put all the organs back and I put the ribs back in the chest and I sewed everything up. And it was a long procedure. So it was mid-afternoon. I went up to the cafeteria when I was done and I said, I've been working all day. Do you have anything here to eat? And they did. They had a plate of ribs. And I got it looked just like the dead body and it smelled like the dead body. And I thought to myself, this is a dead body. It's not a human body, but it's a body nonetheless. And I didn't become a vegetarian on the spot, but I couldn't eat that. And I said, no, thank you. I couldn't eat it. And you know how things kind of work on you over time. And so I started to think through the health issues, and then the ethical issues came up to me too, because when I was a kid growing up, I drove cattle to slaughter with my uncle, and I hunted as a kid, and we ate meat, and I started to kind of rethink that side of it. And as time has gone on, there's every reason to get the animals off your plate, whether it's your health, your waistline, preserving your brain, whatever your athletic potential, whatever it may be. And not to mention the climate and, of course, the animals themselves. So for me, it's been a one-way street. Getting the animals off the plate was a good move.
Wow, what a story. I've never heard that story from you before. I can't believe it. And thanks for being so open with that. And did you notice any changes when you yourself altered your diet like that? When you gave up the animal foods, did you notice any changes in yourself or did you sort of feel the same before and after?
The changes I notice are in everybody else, because for me, I'm the exact same weight that I was when I was in medical school. And my cardiovascular fitness is higher than it's ever been. When I was, when I was 18 and 19, I wasn't going out and running 5, 7 miles I just we didn't do that, but I can do that nowadays. Anyway, for me, the goal really personally has just been to preserve the health I have. But as a clinician and as a physician and an advocate, my job is to help people to take a hold of the power that their plate gives them to either preserve health or in many cases regain it, because starting by their mid-20s, many people they're accumulating weight they don't want to have. Their cholesterol levels are going up and they're getting nervous and they're having to start medications that they think I'm never going to get off them. And the body can heal. We can do so much better. And the answer is so often in our diet choices.
Absolutely. I know some of these diet choices, like I know some of these foods can be very addictive. Where was it? I think I saw a video with you once talking about a Michigan University study. It might have been from 2015 or so about the 5 most addictive foods. And I think they were number one was pizza, then chocolate. I find chocolate very addictive, then chips, then cookies, then ice cream. So do you think people should just give these up altogether for optimal health, or do you believe in moderation, or what do you see when people come off of these addictive foods and how to get off of them?
Gillian, you asked the most important question. I think that is so important because a lot of people do say, well, moderation in all things. Moderation applies only to certain situations. For example, let's say your 7-year-old daughter likes to play the violin. And the
Hmm.
violin's a great thing, but after 3 or 4 hours, sweetheart, you got to come down to dinner, or maybe you have something else you need to do. Or let's say she likes broccoli. Broccoli's great, but if that's all she's going to eat, wait a minute, there are other things to eat. So with regard to good things, moderation is important. But if your 7-year-old daughter walks in the kitchen and says, yeah, Dad, Mom, I got some cocaine. I'm going to do a couple of lines of cocaine and I'm going to smoke, a pack of cigarettes a day is not too much, is it? You say, wait a minute. No,
Yeah.
0, not at all. Wait a minute. You said moderation. You don't have moderation in things that are going to hurt you. You want to just exclude those from your life. And where this really comes in with food, like take cheese, for example. There's probably no food more addictive than cheese. And that's for reasons. It contains compounds called casomorphins that are in fact mild narcotics. They go
Mhm.
to the mu receptors of the brain and the same receptor that fentanyl attaches to, for example.
Wow.
Not as strong, but it's there. And so if a person says, well, I should have some cheese, now and then, but if I keep it in moderation, I'm going to be okay. The problem is it's addicting. And addictions you get into a rut. And it's going to be every day, and you're going to have the issues with it. And if we just break away from them and saying, these foods are not loving me back,
Mhm.
I'm better off without them, it is easier to forget about something than to tease yourself with it every single day and trying to keep it in moderate amounts.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think cheese is 70% fat, right? Is that what you've said? Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And and that fat, it's not good fat. It's mostly
Mm-mm.
bad fat, what we call saturated fat, which is linked not just to a bad cholesterol, but researchers in Chicago started looking at individuals back in the 90s and followed them over the decades and found that this same bad fat, which cheese is the #1 source, is linked to Alzheimer's disease.
Wow.
And there have been other studies showing the same kind of thing. So the bad fat's no joke, and it hurts your heart, hurts your brain, hurts your athletic potential. For people who are trying to do endurance sports, they discover that you just run out of gas if you got that Vaseline going through your arteries.
Yeah,
So
makes sense. And mucus and
yeah,
everything. And wow, that's so interesting. And to me, there's nothing more important than our brain. Like I want to have the best functioning brain for my whole life. And it's sad when you see Alzheimer's and things like that hit. So, in your opinion, are there foods that can prevent Alzheimer's? Are there foods that can lead to Alzheimer's? What sort of research stands out to you on this topic?
yeah. On the bad list, we mentioned saturated fat. #1 source is dairy. #2 source is meat. When people get away from those things, they're going to do better. There are some plant sources of saturated fats that can surprise people, and that's coconut oil and palm oil. They're heavily marketed, but unfortunately, they do have a fair amount of saturated fat in them. So those are the things that we're concerned about. Also on the not so good list are iron and copper. You need some iron for your red blood cells need iron, but if you have too much, it generates free radical production. Same with copper. So if you've got copper pipes in your house and the water sits in the copper pipes all night long, and you fill your coffee maker, then you may have too much copper in your diet. And aluminum is another concern that we have. There are aluminum antacids like Maalox that give you a big dose of aluminum. Aluminum pots and pans. If your spaghetti sauce is coming out of an aluminum pan, it'll carry that aluminum with it. Now, there are some things on the good list. Vitamin E can cut Alzheimer's risk perhaps by as much as 50% in some studies. And vitamin E comes in nuts and seeds. You don't need a lot, maybe a tiny little handful a day will get you there. There's some evidence that blueberries, grapes, other brightly colored fruits can help reduce the risk of Alzheimer's as well. Even when people are starting to have some of that memory decline, you see that when they start bringing these things back in their diet, they seem to do better.
Yeah, wow, interesting. Okay. And the food is obviously so important for the brain like that. And do you think there's still an aspect to it with what you're doing at that age too? Like I love how you're 70 years old, you have a new book coming out. You're still working. Do you have retirement in sight? Do you think it's important we're active, busy, focusing on what we love, using our brain in that way as well?
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, retirement is not a word that I use. I mean, if I'm incapable of working at some point, fair enough. But no, I mean, I just released my 4th record album. My 21st book is just now out. And once this world is sorted out, I can retire. But there's too many
So
problems.
not
Let's
for a
face it, Gillian.
while.
Let's
Yeah.
face it, we got some problems we got to deal with.
Yeah, and you look great for 70. You look absolutely fantastic. So we all want to look good. Like I'm 41, I want to look good in my 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, beyond. So does everybody watching this channel. I know there's a big viewership on this channel for sort of anti-aging. Do you have any anti-aging studies you've done with regards to foods that help us look our best or feel our best?
Well, the good news is you don't need one diet to help your brain and another diet to help your skin. It's kind of the same sorts of foods. And the healthy foods are in 4 groups. The vegetables and fruits, you knew they're healthy and they come tops. Vegetables are terrific and fruits are their own thing. So a broccoli is not the same as a papaya or a mango. You want to get both of those groups in there. They complement each other. Whole grains are terrific. And the whole bean group, beans, peas, lentils. And if you've got all 4 of those together, you are really nourishing your body. Don't forget your vitamin B12. You need that for healthy nerves and healthy blood. Where I think people tend to fall short is our diets are very often low in vegetables, very low in fruits. And those are really good energizing foods. They've got vitamins that are antioxidants. And every wrinkle that you ever saw in the mirror came from free radicals attacking your skin cells.
Wow.
And free radicals are just like little sparks going around in our bloodstream, attacking us. And the things that knock the free radicals out are the antioxidants. I'm talking about, let's say you take a carrot, that bright orange color, that's beta carotene. Its cousin is in the tomato, the red lycopene. Those are antioxidants that patrol your body, and they are looking for free radicals. When they find them, they neutralize them, and you just spared yourself another little broken skin cell. Those are also the part of the things that attack the brain and are responsible for the aging process. Can't stop it, but we can certainly slow it so that we're going to be looking and feeling good for as long as possible.
Yeah, live our best life, feel our best. Well, that just reminds me, you talked about B12 and feeling good. So recently, I don't know what your thoughts are on this. I tried here in Toronto the vitamin IV drip therapy. So I wanted to ask what you think about this. I've never done it before. I see a lot of people, a lot of influencers, podcasters, even doing it in the middle of their podcast because they're like, this is the best life hack. It makes you feel amazing. So I was like, I'm going to try this. So I went to someone in Toronto, a doctor from Brazil that does it. And it was like the hydration drip. And then I had B vitamins and some other things. I swear to you, I never felt better in my life. So do you have any thoughts on this? What do you think about this? Is it good? Is it bad?
I
No opinion?
I don't know. I have to learn more about this. You said that it felt really good.
Yeah.
What was it
I
like?
I've never had this level of mental clarity and felt this good in my whole life. So I eat a raw vegan diet. I've been doing that for 7 years and I supplement too. I eat really clean. And I was just like, I'm going to try this, even though my energy and everything, I feel fantastic as it is. I can't even put into words. This makes me feel better than anything. So I thought it's becoming really mainstream now. So I thought I'd ask and see if you had any opinions on it.
All right, I'm going to book my next flight to Toronto. I'm going to give it a shot.
I think they do it all over though. I saw people
Oh,
there.
really? Okay.
Yeah, but no, plant-based, don't you feel like just whole food plant-based, that just benefits people so much? And like, what are sort of some of the changes you see when people adopt that diet?
Well, we deal with people all the time who have gotten themselves into a bit of trouble. They the first thing is often gaining weight that you don't want to have. And it might start off with 5 pounds, 10 pounds, but many people we see have a whole lot of weight that they want to lose. And then they end up hurting themselves. They'll say, well, I'm just not going to eat. I'm just going to starve. And when they do that, a couple of bad things happen. Their metabolism slows down. They feel terrible. Their nutrition's really not very good. And then it's harder and harder to lose weight if your body is not being adequately nourished. Or they'll do Wegovy injections or something like that, where they're spending 15 grand a year. And if they ever stop it, all that weight comes back. So we work with people to be on healthier approaches to this, because along with weight often comes diabetes, high blood pressure, higher risk of certain kinds of cancer, things that are really no joke. So it's not just a cosmetic issue. For some people, that's really all it is, but for many people, it's really a health issue. And so we're helping people to adopt a diet that is in many ways the easiest kind of diet. Because let's face it, if you're on a plant-based diet, you're not out there counting calories and starving yourself. You can eat an abundance of food because they're naturally filling. We found that these foods have other special effects that can really cause weight loss. In fact, there's certain ones that I call power foods that really help you to burn the weight off.
Yeah, and I think blueberries is one of those, isn't it? Isn't that one of the top foods for weight loss that you've said, or no?
Gillian, you're reading my mind. There, two things I might just mention. At Harvard, they did a study back, probably 8 or 9 years ago, where they looked at a very large group of people, more than 100,000 people.
Wow.
And they tracked the foods they ate. Actually, two studies I should tell you about. One was done at Harvard. It came out in 2015, if I'm remembering correctly. They had more than 100,000 people. They tracked their diets, and they found that if you eat more of certain things, it was associated with weight loss as the years went by. And at the very top of that list, drum roll please, was berries, blueberries especially. And then meanwhile, researchers in the United Kingdom looked at twins, a large group of twins, almost 3,000 of them. And they would look at a woman and her twin sister. And then what they found is that if the woman who ate the most berries of the twins had about 9% less abdominal fat. And the way they do this is with a DEXA scan, which we do in our office. You lie on the table, and what we can track is not just your weight, but where the body fat is. Is it in your belly? Is it in your thighs? Where is it? And what they were specifically looking at was anthocyanins. Anthocyanins that's what makes a blueberry blue. And there's a related one that makes the strawberry red. And in the fall, the leaves have all different colors. Those are varieties of anthocyanins. Those people who eat the most anthocyanins tend to have the least body fat. So how do I do this? Well, I could take some blueberries and I can put them in a salad with some mangoes, and you've got a killer dessert. I mean, it's wonderful. Or you can even have it as juice, blueberry juice, grape juice, something like that. Fine. But let's say you bake them into a muffin, can you do that? The short answer is absolutely you can, depending on what else goes into that muffin. Because if you cram it full of butter, it's not going to really help you. So I recently released a book called The Power Foods Diet. And it shows all about these foods, how they work. And we have more than 120 recipes that put them to work. So Dustin Harder and Lindsay S. Nixon, who did all the recipes, came up with some beautiful things. So let's say I love anthocyanins. What can I do? I can take some blueberries and make a blueberry syrup. And I can pour it onto my morning French toast. And I'm going to make the French toast without eggs and without dairy, without the usual junk. And can you lose weight eating French toast? If you make it the wrong way, no way. If you make it the right way, yes, you can. It could be part of a really healthy breakfast. And so we worked on this. We have all kinds of just fun, like a blueberry sorbet, triple berry sorbets and things like that are just fun, delicious foods. And I got to tell you, Gillian, I did this for a reason. So many people think weight loss means punishment. Weight loss means I can't feel good. Weight loss means all the pleasures of life are gone. No, wait a minute. You are going to eat better than you ever ate in your life. You're going to feel better. You are going to love yourself. And everyone is going to see the changes in you, and they're going to want to know what you have done. So that was the idea behind taking these power foods, putting them front and center, and making them work for us.
I love that. And I think I heard you say an interesting tip recently about we shouldn't wash our blueberries, right? When we get them home or something? Some advice
Yeah,
you
that's
had for
right.
how to prepare them, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a number of things. You should wash them eventually, but
Yeah.
wash them only immediately before you use them. So a lot of people will wash them, they put them in the fridge, but they're sitting there in water and they're gradually mildewing. And so you don't want to do that. Just take it when you get them home, don't leave them on the counter, put them in the fridge. They do better when they're a little bit cold, but don't wash them until you're just about to use them. One other thing, do buy organic. With blueberries, it does cost more. But the reason I say that is pesticides are used on the most delicate plants, and blueberries are one of them, and all the berries are pretty delicate. And if you were eating an orange, you would pull the skin off and throw it away. So if there are pesticides on the orange, you throw them in the trash. But you're not peeling your blueberries. So if somebody used pesticides on them, you're probably going to eat them. So organic is a good idea.
Yeah, okay, perfect. And if somebody's watching, they're like, "Okay, Dr. Barnard, I wanna go plant-based. I wanna start this week. Where should I start? What should I eat? What are the best things to eat? Like, what should be in my pantry?"
Okay, great, great, great. Okay, what we do in our clinic at the Barnard Medical Center and in all of our research studies is we break it into a couple of really quick steps. The first is understanding why we want to do it. So we make sure a person knows how a plant-based diet can help them reach their health goals. But once they know, okay, I get why this is going to help me to lose weight. For example, high fiber foods, like whole grain bread instead of white bread. The whole grain bread, that fiber goes down your digestive tract. It actually traps some calories in the foods you're eating and carries them out with your waste. So you're flushing calories, literally. But once people know that, okay, I got the image. Now, where do I start? So the first step, I think, is to take about a week and a piece of paper and write down the foods that happen to be plant-based that
Mhm.
you would like to try. So let's see, every morning I have bacon and eggs, but I guess I could have breakfast cereal, or I could have a bowl of oatmeal. Fine. If you haven't made oatmeal since you were a kid, try it. And what will you top it with? Oh, gee, I would top it with cream. No, that's no good. Almond milk or some cinnamon or something. Fine. So take a week. Think of the foods that you would like to eat, including restaurants. Let's say you go to an Italian place. They've got pasta arrabbiata. Fair enough. They got pasta fagioli. They've got nice salads. Or you're going to a sushi bar. Instead of the fish sushi, have the cucumber roll or the asparagus roll. Great. Take a week. Once you list the foods that are vegan that you like, then you are ready. Most people get there in less than a week. Okay, weeks gone by, I got my list. I know the foods that I love, including what I eat at restaurants, including fast food. Now, the next step, take 3 weeks and do it all plant-based all the time. So I'm going to do it without fail, but now that's easy because I got my list. And let's face it, I can do anything for 21 days. At the end of that 3-week period, 2 things will have happened. First, you feel different. You're losing weight that you haven't been able to lose without counting calories, without starving. You're doing great. If you have diabetes, your blood sugar is better. Your skin looks a little better. Your digestion has finally sorted itself out. So in addition to the physical changes, your tastes are changing. You love the dessert the recipe that you just tried. You love your new breakfast. Your tastes are changing. You don't want all that fatty glop. So the focus is always short term. The focus is always on the foods you like. We're not focusing on how many calories you eat or this kind of thing. We're focusing on bringing foods in, the healthy foods. We're going to focus on what you eat, not so much how much you're eating.
I love that. Okay, great. And I want to touch a little bit more on the diabetes topic for a second before we move on. I feel like an alarming number of people are getting diagnosed with diabetes these days. I personally know a lot of people here in Toronto, Canada. I know a lot of people in the US are starting to get it. And I didn't even realize until lately how dangerous it can actually be that people can lose their eyesight. I think they can have to have body parts amputated, right? And whatnot. And I have had a few people on the channel lately who have reversed it through plant-based diets, through juicing, through things like that. But I feel like a lot of people still think diabetes is caused from sugar. Like even a lot of people think like my juices or smoothies or too much fruit will cause diabetes. So what actually causes diabetes? And also as a raw vegan, do you think too much juicing of like fruit juices or smoothies that could lead to diabetes or no?
Okay, great question. The answer is no. Those things are not going to cause diabetes, and sugar does not cause diabetes. Now, you can understand why people would think that. because diabetes means there's too much sugar in your blood. And so your doctor will do a blood test and say your blood sugar is really high. And when people eat less sugar, sometimes their blood sugars will drop. But that is not the cause, has nothing to do with it. Your body should be able to process sugars. There are sugars in fruits. There are sugars sugar will be released by your digestive tract from the healthy starchy foods that you eat. And your body needs that. Sugar gets into your muscles and it makes glycogen. That's your spare batteries for energy. A marathon runner, before the race, they are powering up with the carbohydrate because they need that glycogen in their liver and in their muscles. So sugar is a good thing for your body. However, the way people eat nowadays, their body can't handle sugar at all. What happens is, when you eat a lot of fatty stuff, like let's say for me growing up in North Dakota, have a pork chop or roast beef or something like that, or fried foods, the fat from those foods gets into your muscle cells. I'm not talking about fat around your belly. I'm talking about fat inside the muscle cells. And then when the fat is inside the muscle cells, the sugar can't get in anymore. Your body makes insulin. Your pancreas makes the insulin, which goes to the surface of that cell, just like a key. It tries to open it up to get the sugar inside. But that cell is now filled with fat. The technical term is intramyocellular lipid, but it's just fat inside cells. And when that fat buildup occurs, sugar can't get in. Now, anything that you eat that has sugar in it makes your blood sugar rise. Your doctor diagnoses you with diabetes. And for the rest of your life, you're trying to not eat sugar. That was never the problem. The problem was fat buildup in your cells. How do I get it out? A vegan diet has 0 animal fat. And if I also keep the oils pretty low, there's not much of any fat in my diet, and the fat inside your cells starts to dissipate, and the diabetes improves. And Gillian, just as you were saying, for some people, it improves so much they don't need medicine anymore or need less. And there are people where their diabetes is just flat out gone.
Wow.
Now, when I was in medical school, we never, ever saw diabetes go away because we were doing the wrong thing. We were telling people to eat small portions and watch their carbohydrates. In 2003, the NIH gave us a grant to try a low-fat plant-based diet for diabetes, and it changed history. We were able to show that without cutting calories, without limiting carbohydrates, you could do dramatically better than you ever thought. And that's when I first started to see diabetes go away. And Gillian, I just want to say that for me, having seen people have exactly what you said, amputations and loss of eyesight, to see diabetes improve and finally just have this disease disappear is the most amazing gift. And that is today, that's our goal with every patient.
Incredible. I feel like you're so genuine. And what a rewarding life you've had, you know? You're really in your purpose, I feel like. Absolutely, 100%, you know? You've done so much good for this planet. So just
Well,
on
hey,
behalf
we're
of
not done yet.
everybody watching, I'm sure feels the same way. And we want to thank you for everything you've done. And it's amazing we have YouTube these days. You're so inspiring in all your talks on YouTube. And my viewers, they have so many amazing questions for you. Everybody knows you. And so the first question is, I would like to know what he thinks about raw versus cooked. A lot of people want to know what you think about this. They said they haven't seen you talk on this, and I'm interested about this. So I've been raw 7 years. It
Yeah.
reversed all my health problems. But what do you think about long term, or what do you think about this lifestyle? And people want to know, have you ever tried this lifestyle as well?
Okay, I think we did not evolve with sterno. In other words, the foods that we would have been eating
Yeah.
would always have been raw until people came up with fire and could do cooking. So raw foods really are very helpful. The one question that has always kind of come up for me, and I don't feel quite settled on yet, is which foods really are the best raw foods? For example, for many people, if they're going to eat some cauliflower or broccoli or Brussels sprouts, they don't do so hot with them. And they find that they do better if they're cooked a little bit, unlike some other things like spinach, leaves, or tomatoes and things you could do really well.
Mhm.
And so in other words, once you find out which raw foods agree with you the most, you're going to do a whole lot better. But no, raw foods are terrific.
Yeah. And
The
have
more,
you ever
the
tried
more,
it?
the better.
Have you ever tried it? Like, oh, I'm going to go 1 week, see how I feel, or no? Like fully or no?
I've never totally omitted cooked foods, but I eat a lot of raw foods. I think the more the better.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, lately I have gotten a big thing for mangoes and papayas for some reason these days. They just call my name. So
But even what you're doing, it's clearly working for you.
yeah.
Clearly. And somebody said, could you ask him about clinical cases and the healing success stories? Maybe a few cases. That's one thing I was going to ask. Are there any cases that really stand out to mind? Wow, this was one of the best one of the most remarkable things I've ever seen, or any of the studies that stand out? Wow, this study shocked me. Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, if you don't mind, let me do a shameless promotion for
Mhm.
my book. Do you
Go
mind if I
ahead,
show it,
absolutely. It's not
Gillian?
shameless. Your books are awesome.
There it is. It's called the Power Foods Diet. And the reason that I want to show this is that just what you described is what we're talking about. The Power Foods Diet is coming out shortly. You'll see it on Amazon now. People are already getting it. And I really hope people get it and they share it. But there's a story in there that I want to share with you just briefly. And it's a woman named Stephanie. And Stephanie was, as a kid, kind of ribbed by her friends. And they said, "You're the chubby kid." And this has physical effects, it has psychological effects. And she was really kind of struggling with her weight from an early age. And she got married to a man who also had some weight issues. And they supported each other as best they could, and they were raising a family. And once one of her daughters reached adolescence, the daughter said, "Mom, I'm going vegan." And Stephanie's a good mother. She worries about everything. So she would say, "I'm not so sure. Are you going to get all the nutrition you want?" The pediatrician said, "I think this is not a good idea to go vegan." But the daughter was adamant and she did it. And Stephanie could see, this is working out kind of well for you. This is a good thing. So Stephanie made a decision. She said, "I'm going to do it too. And not only am I going to do it, the whole family's going to do it. We're going to do it with you." So she did a beautiful thing. She's supporting her daughter and she's finding out the best foods. And when they got a little temptation to maybe go get some Velveeta or whatever, she would talk the family out of it. And she was like, not kind of finger wagging. She was just a great coach, really. And she started to lose weight, and her husband started to lose weight. And everybody in the family started to lose weight. And the idea was, wait a minute, this wasn't really our genetics that was holding us back. These were food choices that kind of came through our family, and we inherited a recipe book. We didn't inherit fat genes. And you should see her today. She has joined us as one of our Food for Life instructors at the Physicians Committee. And Stephanie's story is here in the Power Foods Diet, and just an amazing success. And let me give you one more, if you don't mind, Gillian,
Yeah,
just
I'll
real
go
quick.
ahead. We love it. Yeah.
Okay. There is a cardiologist named Steve Loam, L-O-M-E. And he's a real person, just like Stephanie. And his story is also here in the Power Foods Diet. He was racing a half marathon about maybe a year ago, something like that. And it was a half marathon, 13 miles.
Mm.
He's running along, and in the race, along with his two adult kids. And right in front of him, a guy fell down on the ground, dead.
Whoa.
Steve's a cardiologist. He runs up to the guy, no pulse. He begins CPR, and he yells for somebody, "Call for a defibrillator." And eventually they bring in a defibrillator, they shock the guy, and they shock him, and they get his heart started again. They get an ambulance over, they put him in the ambulance. Steve has saved his life. And off he goes. And Steve is thinking, "Good heavens, I never had a race like
No
this
kidding.
before." But he says, "Okay, well, here I am. I guess I'll finish the race." So he picks up and he finishes the race. And once he crosses the finish line, there's another guy who falls down in front of him, dead on the ground. The
What?
second guy. And in the same race, he's pulseless, and he says, "I can't believe this." He starts CPR, he yells for a defibrillator, they bring a defibrillator, they shock him, they get his heart going again, they call the ambulance, and off he goes. What are the odds of this happening once, let alone twice in the same race? So the Today Show brought him and the two patients together to be reunited. And Steve had reached out to them after they had woken up in the hospital, and he had said to them, "You people, you have to get the cholesterol out of your diet. You need to go vegan." And that's more or less what they had done. And so on the Today Show, they're saying, "This is what we have done." But the reason I'm telling you this, Gillian, is not only is it a remarkable story, but Steve himself, his story didn't begin with him being a cardiologist. He was 100 pounds overweight himself.
Wow.
He came from a family where everybody had weight issues. And he is a smart guy. He went on the US government's dietary guidelines website. And it said you should be eating chicken, take the skin off your chicken, have skim milk. And he did all that. And it didn't work for him. He was following these guidelines that were supposed to be healthy, and he wasn't getting anywhere. And he ended up doing a plant-based diet. He got the animal products out. He kept oils low. He was eating the healthiest foods, and the weight just started to come off. And he would talk to his colleagues about it, and some were interested, some were not. And as time went on, he just realized, I can do all kinds of things in the world of cardiology, but there is nothing that matches the power of this kind of diet for keeping that heart healthy. And so Steve's whole story is here in the Power Foods Diets. Anyway, here it is. And forgive me for letting people know about it, but I'm so excited about this
Yeah.
because it tells stories. It shows how foods work, how these power foods can help you in the same ways they help Stephanie and help Steve. And there's Shanae and lots of others in this book that I hope people will feel a little bit of inspiration from reading their story. And I hope they'll like the recipes as well.
Oh, they will. It sounds like an amazing book. I think mine should come in soon, but it's available for pre-order, right? So I can put the link down below. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I wish you would. Yeah, it's on Amazon now, and people are ordering it, and we're starting quite a buzz because I have to say, people, as I mentioned, they hurt themselves. They do
Hmm.
all kinds of things. They say, I've got to go keto, so I'll never eat an apple. I can never eat a banana. I can never eat
Yeah.
an orange. And you're leaving out nature's favorite foods when you do that. So when people realize what the power foods are, they can do great.
Yeah. 100%. Okay. And somebody said a question I have, what are his thoughts on juicing? I've heard him suggesting we don't go on a juice fast, but with some results we've seen on your channel, there has to be some benefits that the science committee maybe hasn't studied yet, question mark. Looking forward to this. So what do you think about juice fasting?
I gotta say, personally, I love juicing. I think it's
Yeah.
great. And I gotta say, I'm kind of an idiot with some things. A million years ago, there was a brand called the Juice Man Juicer,
Yes.
and they sent me a juicer to just try. This was probably 20 years ago. And I thought, what do I want with this? I don't use gadgets or whatever, just sat and gathered dust on my counter. But then I thought, what the heck? Let me try this out. So I got some carrots and I started juicing carrots and I started adding different things. And I have to tell you, I just got absolutely hooked. And there are all different ways of doing it. Now,
Mhm.
my dietetic staff members say, shouldn't you eat the whole fruit instead of just juicing it? And
Mhm.
I think they're right. You know, nature has in that fruit great stuff that you don't want to omit. And so I'm not entirely sure that juicing is really better than eating the raw foods themselves.
Mhm.
However, I have to say it's kind of the safest, most helpful sort kind of candy you can have,
True.
which is these
True.
these wonderful juices, and there are a million ways to do it. So you find the ones that you
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
So it beats the heck out of a martini before dinner.
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Okay. And somebody said I'm 76 years old, and every time I increase raw foods in my diet, I get severely constipated. What does Dr. Barnard think I should do?
Oh, wow. Now you would think that if you're having constipation, that's usually a lack of fiber in the diet. I would look to see if there's a particular culprit, because when you bring high fiber foods in, usually your digestion works a whole lot better. If you find that you are leaving out some things that you needed before, like beans or whole grains or so forth, you can go kind of part way and see if you don't need those foods. Because the reason I mention that is beans are the fiber champions. There's nothing that has as much fiber as a black bean or a lentil or something like that. If you're suddenly leaving all those foods aside and your digestive tract isn't quite ready for that transition, you can bring them back in and go kind of part way. Take it slow, take it gradual, and you'll get there.
Okay. And would like to know what he suggests when it comes to salt and oil intake, olive, flaxseed oil, etc., and how many calories per day is a good level.
Okay, we've asked a great question. First of all, I like what you're talking about if you're talking about getting oil in the seeds rather than the oil itself. Because a lot of chefs, even great chefs, take that bottle of oil and they go glug, 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 and they're pouring oil all over everything. And that's not exactly something that nature had in mind. You know, nature put a little bit of oil in the olive, but nature didn't put a faucet on the olive tree. So if you are taking 10,000 olives and crushing out all the oil, it's a lot of dense calories. You can call it virgin if you want to, but even virgin olive oil is very dense in calories. But on the other hand, when you're having seeds, when you're having nuts, when you're having even the olives, nature packed them in with a lot of natural fiber and other parts of the plant that will limit the calorie intake a little bit for you.
Okay. And somebody said, would love to know if you could ask him about what he thinks about eating massive bean sprouts instead of having to eat cooked beans.
Fine, great,
Yeah.
can't do
Okay.
better.
Okay, perfect. And ask him if there's natural ways to improve vision, specifically poor peripheral vision and light sensitivity in seniors.
Okay. One really important point. For
Mhm.
everything we talked about with regard to vision, with regard to diabetes, with regard to anything else, don't fire your doctor. Do talk to your doctor about these things, because vision, you don't want to fool with your vision. Have your doctor look at what's going on inside your eyes, do complete vision testing, and see what's going on. Okay, so that's true for everything.
Mhm.
If you haven't gotten a good opinion from your doctor, if you don't trust your doctor, if you got any additional questions you're not sorting out, get a second opinion. But you want to make sure that you know what's going on with your body. With regard to vision, the thing that people are really particularly worried about is macular degeneration. That's when the central part of the vision is you're starting to lose it. And there is a substantial amount of evidence that dark green leafy vegetables and other parts of the plant kingdom provide the nutrients that can help prevent macular degeneration. If we ever needed another reason to have green leafy vegetables in our diet, this is the big one. Yeah, they've got calcium, but calcium is highly absorbed. Great.
Mhm.
Yes, they have iron in its perfect form. Absolutely. They have plenty of protein in green leafy vegetables, but they've also got other nutrients like lutein and zeaxanthin that your body needs and that your eyes need. One other thing I might just mention really quickly is cataracts will form, and a big part of that is UV light. The UVB rays will do some mischief within the lens of your eye. Good reason to have UVB protection eyewear. I'm talking
Okay.
about good sunglasses. But beyond that, there is some evidence that a diet high in vitamin C can reduce the risk of cataracts, and a diet that avoids dairy helps too. Researchers have been digging into dairy. It's not just the fat, but the lactose sugar in dairy digests to release galactose, which has been associated with problems with fertility, with problems with the ovaries in other ways. It's linked to ovarian cancer and also linked to eye problems. So I do think that we need more research in all these areas, but don't wait. Dump out the cow's milk. You don't need that at all. And we want to be getting good nutrition from plants.
Yeah, absolutely. And how is your eyesight? And do you believe, you go to a lot of eye doctors and they say, oh, it's natural, your eyesight will get worse as age. People think that that's sort of the norm, but do you feel that that's sort of more lifestyle and our eyesight shouldn't be getting worse as we age?
There's no reason for your eyes to get worse as you age. Now cataracts will form because of the assault of particularly UVB, as I mentioned.
Mhm.
But no, there's no reason why your eyes should get worse as you age. No.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. And somebody was asking what you currently eat in a day.
Everybody's different in what they eat, but I'll give you what I ate for breakfast today. I did today what I often do in kind of there's sort of three parts.
Hmm.
And the first thing I do is I have some kind of plant protein. And it can be grilled tempeh or grilled tofu or something like that. And the second step is some kind of green vegetable. And today I had broccoli. Some days it'll be spinach, some days it'll be asparagus. Sounds weird to have green vegetables for breakfast. I love it. And my third thing is I want something that's got natural, healthy carbohydrate. Today I had half a papaya. Some other days it might be a couple of mangoes, or it could be oatmeal or something like that. But my rationale for this is that I find that for whatever reason, having some plant protein is kind of balancing for people. If your brain gets too high of a load of carbohydrate, sometimes you'll make a little extra serotonin that'll make you a little bit sleepy, and the plant protein will block that effect. So that can be whether it's veggie bacon or beans for breakfast. People in England eat beans for breakfast. People in Australia eat beans for breakfast. People in Nebraska never heard of it. But I'm going to cheerlead for my friend the bean. That'll give you a good morning dose of plant protein too. So anyway, that's what I had. If I'm going out to eat, I might go to a sushi bar where I would have, not the fish sushi, obviously, but I'd have the edamame and a nice salad, and I might have a cucumber roll, asparagus rolls, something like that. But there's millions of ways to do it.
Yeah, okay, nice. Amazing. Good tips there too. And somebody said, could you please ask Dr. Barnard that you can heal hemorrhoids, very painful, bleeding internal ones that I've been struggling with for a long time. Do you think this can heal with if I do a fully plant-based diet? If so, how do you think? Thank you.
Okay. You certainly want to give yourself a chance to do it. And let me speak a little graphically with you for a minute. The hemorrhoids are all around the end of your digestive tract. And what they are is they're kind of like little soft tissues in the same way as your lips are softer than your skin so that they can close your mouth. The hemorrhoidal tissues, those natural tissues are there to be able to stop the bottom of your intestinal tract. And what causes them to run into trouble was something that was elucidated by a researcher named Denis Burkitt. Denis Burkitt was a surgeon. He was from Ireland, and he spent a lot of time in Africa as a missionary surgeon. And he noticed that when he was there, the populations he was working with ate huge amounts of fiber. They never had hemorrhoids. They didn't have gallbladder disease. They didn't have colon cancer. And he thought, what's going on? And what he discovered was that their digestive tracts, because they were so high in fiber, they didn't have really compact, hard stools the way somebody in America might. Meat doesn't have any fiber. Cheese doesn't have any fiber. So meat eaters tend to get stools that are a little like rocks. They get constipated. They sit down on the toilet and they're pushing and pushing and pushing. And when they're doing that straining on the toilet, that causes blood to go retrograde down your legs, and it causes varicose veins in your ankles. And it goes down into your abdomen, and it causes the hemorrhoidal vessels to balloon out. And then they start losing their integrity. So the answer to hemorrhoids is a really high fiber diet. No animal products at all, really high fiber, and that takes the pressure off. That allows you to avoid the straining at the stool, and for many people, that'll really help them. If you're slated for surgery and you don't absolutely have to have it, put it off and see if you can do this naturally.
Okay, great. And somebody said, can you ask him what he recommends, whether he recommends fasting to heal hypothyroidism, and for how long can one fast without medical supervision? What do you think about that with fasting?
Okay, great question. I think fasting can be great, but just as the question says, if you're going to do it for a prolonged period, you do need to be medically supervised. Now, people will do an overnight fast, no problem. Sometimes people will do sort of a semi-fast for 2 days each week. Fair enough. There are issues with that, though. Sometimes when people do like 5 days on, 2 days fasting, they start to anticipate the fast by eating extra on Friday
Yeah.
and kind of rebounding on Monday.
Yeah.
So be careful about that. But with regard to hypothyroidism, your thyroid is here, and it makes thyroid hormone to give you energy. And researchers at Loma Linda University, in a huge study, found that the people who have the least risk of hypothyroidism are people who avoid animal products.
Wow.
Now, there are two issues here. One is you need iodine in your diet to make thyroid hormone. And the best source of iodine is seed vegetables. So your nori or your wakame or arame or all those things have lots of healthy iodine in them. You need it. Iodized salt works. Iodized salt, it's got iodine in it, fair enough. Some people take kelp, but you do need iodine. But the real reason why vegans are at the least risk for hypothyroidism, we believe, is because most cases of low thyroid are caused not in the United States by low iodine. They're caused by antibodies. Something that you're exposed to is causing your body to make antibodies, which are like little torpedoes that come out of your white blood cells. And they're trying to attack viruses or attack a bacteria. But something is causing those torpedoes to come out of your cells. And those little torpedoes, those antibodies, are now attacking you. They're attacking your thyroid gland. And the reason we think that the explanation for why vegans have so little hypothyroidism is because they are not exposed to dairy antigens or to meat antigens or to egg antigens. And in other words, those antigen proteins, we believe, are the trigger for the antibody release. And when you're not exposed to them, you're less likely to get it. This doesn't mean that vegans are never going to get hypothyroidism. There may be other triggers. Could gluten be a factor? I think those are all reasonable possibilities. But if you're not yet on a plant-based diet and you are hypothyroid, let your endocrinologist know you're going to make a change so he or she can monitor you. Do a whole 100% vegan diet, see how you go. There's never been a randomized trial of a vegan diet that I'm aware of for hypothyroidism, but there are a zillion anecdotal cases of it that I described in my last book, Your Body in Balance. And so it's worth a try. There's no risk to doing it, and see if it helps you.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. And someone said, could you please explain again why carbs don't make you fat, or if excess white sugar, flour can make you fat? I find it difficult to explain this and get very confused.
Okay, you are not alone. Everybody gets confused with this. Carbohydrate. Carbohydrate means sugars and starches. And carbohydrates in any form have only 4 calories in a gram. Now, if I take fat, chicken fat, beef fat, or even vegetable oil, a gram has 4 calories? No, it's got 9 calories. So carbohydrates have 4, fats have 9. So if you're eating a diet that's rich in carbohydrate, in theory, that should fill you up without a lot of calories. And especially if there's fiber in it, like the brown rice, the coating of the rice grain, that's fiber. Or there's fiber in apples and fruits and vegetables. That fiber has close to no calories at all, very, very little. So when people blame carbs for weight gain, what they're blaming is a cookie. Go on the internet and look at how you make a cookie. And what you see is a recipe that's got some carbohydrate in it. There's some flour in there and some sugar, but there's a big load of butter or shortening, which has how many calories per gram? It's got 9. Or people will say, well, cake, that's carbs. Look up a cake recipe. Same story. It's a mixture of some sugars and complex carbohydrate, but a whole lot of fat. The sugar, it's like a Trojan horse. That's the part that lures you in. And all the fat lurking inside is what fattens you up. Now, don't get me wrong. If you have a huge amount of just sugar and you're eating sugary stuff all the time, you can get calories that your body just does not need. And that's certainly true. But if you think about it, back when Japan was, say, in the 1950s, early 1960s, they hadn't westernized. There was no McDonald's in Tokyo. Their dietary staple was rice, and they ate a phenomenal amount of it. And that's carbs. And they were the skinniest people on the planet. So carbs don't make you fat.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And someone said, what can we use on daily basis for parasite cleanse, for heavy metal detox on daily basis? That reminds me, I interviewed somebody yesterday. She went plant-based and it changed her life. And what initially triggered her to go plant-based was 16 years ago, they were getting a turkey ready for Thanksgiving. And they were sort of, I think, opening up to do the stuffing, and they saw a huge translucent light thing in it. And they said it was a massive parasite inside the turkey. So do you think parasites are a thing inside our bodies? And how can people detox for those, in your opinion? Or do you have any opinions on that?
Gillian, you just totally grossed me out. That is the wow. Good. I can't get that image out of my head now. Okay. You should not have to, hopefully you don't have to detox for parasites. It is a good idea to wash your food when you eat it and choose it carefully. And if you are the foods that have parasites in them are typically animal products, or anything tainted with an animal product. So if you're avoiding those, that's good. Unfortunately, farmers will often use animal manure on their garden. And so, spinach doesn't have an intestinal tract, neither does Swiss chard, neither do apples. But if you're suddenly putting animal manure on them, you're putting the contents of an animal's digestive tract on your vegetables. I wish people wouldn't do that. You don't need to do that at all. So hopefully you don't need to detox for those things. With regard to metals, the main thing is to avoid the excess consumption of them. Start with your multiple vitamin. If you are taking a multiple vitamin, you may not need a multiple vitamin. You do need B12, but all the other parts of your multiple vitamin are in your foods anyway. You're getting the vitamin C and vitamin A and so forth. And the reason I'm mentioning this is a typical one a day has iron added, it's got copper added, and you could be getting too much of those metals, even to a toxic level. So you hopefully shouldn't have to detox, but what we can do is avoid the excess intake.
Yeah. Okay. And is there a vitamin you recommend that you think is clean and really good?
I don't have a particular brand, but I
Okay.
would say this. B12 is important, and the amount you need, according to the government, is 2.4 micrograms. So when you go to a drugstore or the health food store, you'll discover that they don't have any supplements that small. So you could take 100 or 200 micrograms a day, perfectly fine. If you're over about 500 micrograms per day, let's say you're taking 1,000 or 2,000 because that's the only size you could find, you could probably take that every other day. You can probably be thinking, okay, should I take vitamin D also? The answer is maybe so. If you're not ever getting sunlight, if you grew up like I did in North Dakota and the sun shines only about a day and a half a year, you might need vitamin D. But the amount that most doctors would recommend go up to about maybe 2,000 international units a day. That would be a pretty common recommendation. That's more than the RDA, but it's still at a pretty safe level.
Okay. And somebody said, please ask if inflammation through diet can help with managing hypothyroidism. And if so, what's the best diet to manage inflammation?
Okay, yes, exactly the diet that we've been talking about. Very rich in vegetables, very rich in fruits. Whole grains and beans are fine. And what you find is that that's an anti-inflammatory diet. The foods you want to get away from, of course, dairy products, meat, and you don't want to have really lots of highly processed foods. Those foods can end up being pro-inflammatory.
Okay, great answer. Yeah. And somebody said more about the topic on tofu, please. I feel great when I eat it, organic and non-GMO, but you hear so many people saying it's bad for you. I just came to a point where my body doesn't lie and it doesn't like animal protein, and tofu it loves, but would love to know what the doctor says about this.
Yeah, tofu has been maligned inappropriately. Soybeans do contain what are called isoflavones, and they have names like genistein and daidzein and glycine. This will not be on the test, but those compounds were discovered a long time ago, and researchers noticed that these natural isoflavones from soy would attach to estrogen receptors. And that freaked them out. They thought, oh my goodness sakes, that means that maybe these things will cause cancer. They could cause breast cancer, whatever. But as researchers have studied human beings who eat more soy versus less soy, they've discovered something really remarkable. And women who consume the most soy, that's tofu or soy milk or miso or tempeh, women who consume the most soy have the lowest breast cancer risk, about
Wow.
30% lower than other women, especially if they started it early in life. Soy doesn't cause cancer, it reduces cancer risk. The second finding was women who had been diagnosed with breast cancer. If they started consuming more soy products, their risk of dying of breast cancer was reduced quite significantly. So soy is not a problem, soy is a good thing. Researchers then looked at men and found that you get the same benefit. Soy seems to reduce the risk of prostate cancer. So do buy organic. If it's organic by law, it's not going to be GMO, and it's really, really easy to find organic soy products. Virtually every store has them. And I mentioned this morning, I had some grilled tofu for breakfast. All I do is I get some firm tofu, slice it up, throw it into a nonstick pan, cook it on both sides. And then I might sprinkle on a little bit of fresh ginger, which, by the way, ginger is the power food, which I can tell you about. A little bit of nutritional yeast, maybe a little soy sauce. It'll change your life. It's delicious. You can scramble it up if you want. Soy's fine.
Yeah, ginger the power food. Any other top power foods that come to mind?
Cinnamon is a really cool one. Cinnamon is when cinnamon has a compound in it that researchers discovered a number of years ago. And when it goes through your digestive tract, because you consume cinnamon, it will stimulate your body to make just a little bit more adrenaline, so your metabolism will increase. And so researchers thought, well, wait a minute, this is going to increase my after-meal calorie burn. Is this true? So in 2017, researchers did a really nice study with more than 100 people and found that when people would have a little bit extra cinnamon, maybe about a teaspoon a day, not that you necessarily need that much, but that's what they did. They found it led to, in people who wanted to lose weight, about a 7 or 8 pound weight loss over about 16 weeks. So what if I make my French toast out of my power foods diet? And I make it with the blueberries, which are a power food because of their anthocyanins, and I sprinkle on a little bit of cinnamon, and I didn't pack in the eggs. You can see why these are becoming power foods. Quick tip though, Ceylon cinnamon, Ceylon, Ceylon, that's the one you want. You go to the store and they'll have Indonesian cinnamon. They'll have cinnamon from Saigon. They'll have Chinese cinnamon. No, they're okay, they taste all right. There is some evidence of toxicity of overdoing it on those things because their technical term is cassia. The true cinnamon is Ceylon cinnamon. Buy organic, it's worth it.
Okay, amazing. And someone was saying, can you ask him his take on dry and water fasting? We talked a little bit about fasting, but what do you think about those extreme types of fasting, like dry fasting or water fasting?
Yeah, water fasting is fine,
hmm
provided if you're doing this for any length of time at all, you've got to be medically supervised. There's a place in California that's a great example. It's called True North. And people will go to the True North Center and they can do water fasting. They can do quite a variety of interventions, but you're going to be seen by a doctor every single day because you're not nourishing your body in a normal way and you're detoxing. And so if you're going to do a serious fast like this, do it with supervision.
Okay. And someone's asking, what do you think about the raw vegan or vegan protein powders made of like hemp, pumpkin, sunflower seed protein? Well, yeah, what do you think about these protein powders? Do you think they're good or not good?
Fine, but unnecessary.
Okay.
The reason I say they're unnecessary is you're getting plenty of protein from the foods that you're eating. If you ate nothing but green vegetables, not that you would ever do this, but let's say you decided as a challenge, I'm going to eat just green vegetables.
Mhm.
And let's say you're eating 1,800 calories a day or 2,000 calories a day. You will easily get over 100 grams of protein over the course of your day, which is probably twice what you actually need. So I give this as an example to say there is protein in plant foods. Beans, grains, vegetables, fruits, they all have their bit of protein. If you want to pump up your protein dose because you just feel more balanced that way, or you're a
Mhm.
little nervous or whatever, it's okay to do that. They're all right, but they're not really necessary.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And somebody said, what's your opinion? A lot of people are asking this. What's your opinion on paleo or carnivore? Lots of people claim going carnivore cured all their diseases. You do see a lot of people say that, and a lot of people are really wondering what you think on that.
I have to say, a carnivore diet is sort of a romantic macho image that people like to introduce into their life, not to put anybody down. But there's a good part. There's one good part of this, that when people talk about paleo diets, they're saying, let's look back a ways and see what people were eating. And they'll very often say, people weren't consuming dairy until about, 10,000 years ago. That's true. So they'll throw out the dairy. That's good. They'll throw out a lot of the sugary candy and stuff. That's good too. But then they'll say, well, but our ancestors were eating meat all the time. So they're concentrating on meat. And that's not true. We are not carnivores. We are not dogs and cats. Our biological cousins are great apes, chimpanzees, gorillas, orangutans, bonobos, and they are all either mostly or exclusively vegan. They're eating fruits and leaves and that kind of thing, with pretty few exceptions. And humans weren't consuming meat at all until the advent of the Stone Age, when we started to develop stone tools and could cut meat off the bones of a
Mhm.
carcass and that kind of thing. And once we had fire, then you could cook it and make it something. But this was never our natural food.
Yeah, absolutely. And okay, somebody said I get constipation if I eat rice or pasta or any grains except for Ezekiel bread. Would love to know his thoughts on the reason why. Another question is, why do I get back acne if I eat whole food, plant-based cooked food? It only goes away when I'm eating raw.
Ah, amazing. Okay. With regard to acne, it's often a single trigger. It's a little tricky to figure it out, but if you keep a journal, track what you're eating and look when you get a flare. If you never get a flare, fine, then you don't have to worry anymore. But if you
Hmm.
get one, look back what you've eaten either that day or the previous day. And you can do this with other things too. Let's say you have some joint pains, some aches and pains. I did this myself. I noticed that I was starting to get some kind of pains in my joints. I thought, what was this? About
Hmm.
20 years ago, this happened. And I kept a food journal and I found, to break my heart, it was white potatoes. Potatoes, for some reason, I get a reaction to them where my joints hurt a little bit. So I just skip them and I'm fine. Do that and you'll find that you do much better.
Yeah, great idea. Okay. And somebody said, can you ask him if it's possible to get rid of IBS/IBD on plant-based diet? I see so many struggling. And again, and then they switch to eating keto meat and they feel better. So what do you think about that?
If you have irritable bowel syndrome, first of all, same story, see if there's something that might be triggering it. And this is a case where I often encourage people as a test for a short period of time, kind of reduce their dietary variety a little bit. Things like white rice and things, it's tolerated by everybody, or brown rice, and just kind of see how you do for a while. If your IBS gets better, in other words, if you're not bloating and gassy and so forth, then bit by bit, add foods to your diet and see which you tolerate. If beans are part of your diet, make sure they are well cooked. There should be no al dente beans.
Hmm.
Cook them until they're really soft and have a small amount until you're more used to them. Same with cruciferous vegetables like broccoli and cauliflower. You may find that you can't tolerate them raw, but you do really well if they're cooked. One last thing. For a lot of people, they've done everything
Hmm.
and they still, their digestive tract is still acting up and they've got a gurgly stomach all the time. your doctor can do a test for SIBO. That's small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. What that means is you've got bacteria, you know you have gut bacteria, but you've got some that are not loving you back. You've got some maladjusted ones, and they're in your small intestine. Your doctor can test for that really easily, and if you're having symptoms with it, they can give you an antibiotic that'll knock it out, and you would feel much, much better.
Yeah, okay. And what do you think about those gut microbiome tests? Are you a fan of those? Do you think those give us any real science or answers like those at-home tests you can order and test your gut?
You know, we're really on the frontier of science with this. We do check the microbiome in our research studies. We have lots and lots of people in our studies, and we look at the microbiome because the microbiome changes fast. When a
Mm,
person begins a plant-based diet, their gut bacteria change and they become the friendlier species start to predominate. And that can happen within 14 days, very, very rapidly.
wow.
Researchers in Pennsylvania uh, really opened our eyes. They selected a group of men in Pittsburgh and a group of men in rural South Africa. The men in Pittsburgh were eating chicken wings, pizza, and the men in rural South Africa were eating lots of root vegetables and grains and legumes. And they had them switch diets. So the people in Pittsburgh started eating root vegetables and whole grains and beans and things. And their gut microbiome changed within a matter of about 2 weeks' time. You could
Wow.
change it. And of course, the people who got the short end of the stick were the people in rural South Africa who are now eating chicken
Yeah.
wings, and it caused all kinds of problems for them. So your gut microbiome is a real thing. But here's the issue, and I have to say, Gillian, the reason I say we're at the frontier of science, your gut doesn't have just 2 or 3 species of bacteria in it.
Hmm.
It's got an enormous number of species, and it has fungal species as well. And it's got many other things. And we are still sorting out which ones are the friendly ones, which ones are the problems, and which patterns of bacterial growth are really the best. So we're still studying it, but we've learned a couple things. One is, I don't think you need probiotics. That's going to surprise people because you go to the store, they'd love to take a $50 bill out of your wallet and give you a bottle of probiotics. We find that they don't really help. What really matters, by probiotics, what I mean is a capsule that has the bacteria in them, or
Yeah.
a powder that has the bacteria in it, or the yogurt that's got the bacteria. The
Wow.
reason I say that is that when you eat the right foods, your body naturally tends to grow the right bacterial strains.
Okay, that makes sense. Wow, interesting. And somebody said, does your body absorb the fat-soluble nutrients as well when your gallbladder has been removed? And what side effects happen in your body when the gallbladder is removed? Hmm.
Okay, you'll still do fine. The gallbladder collects bile, which is something that your liver makes, and it stores it there because it's going to help you to break up fats and absorb them. And so now, if you don't have a gallbladder, that means your body's still making bile, but it's kind of dribbling in bit by bit and going down your intestinal tract. What I would encourage you to do, number one, is if you're not already limiting fat, you really want to limit fat. This will change your life. You'll find that a lot of the digestive symptoms really will go away from that. And that'll help in many, many other ways too. But yes, you can absorb the fat-soluble vitamins. That's A and D and E and vitamin K. You'll absorb them fine. You don't need very much fat to be able to do that.
Yeah, okay. And someone said, can you ask about the top protein sources as a vegan or raw vegan?
Top protein sources?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, first of all, don't worry about protein because you're going
Mm-hmm.
to get plenty of protein as long as you're having a variety of foods and you're eating enough to maintain your body weight. But I'll give you a list. The legume group, the bean group, is loaded with protein, and that includes beans, black beans, navy beans, all of them, bean sprouts, and
Mm-hmm.
bean products like the soybean. It turns into miso and tempeh and all those things. Lots and lots of protein in anything that came from a legume. The grain group also has protein in them. As you know, when a person is eating the muscle out of a cow or a chicken, that animal got fat eating corn. Corn's a grain. There's plenty of protein in grains. Green leafy vegetables, as I mentioned earlier, have a surprising amount of protein in them. Fruits, somewhat less, but still there. If a person is only eating fruit and nothing else, you might want to widen it out to eat more things, but you're going to get plenty of protein on a plant-based diet.
Okay, and if somebody's eating like standard American, they're watching this and they're really not eating good, but they want to clean up their habits, do you think it's okay for them to go like super clean plant-based the next day? Are they okay to just start plant-based right away?
Yeah, can you quit smoking right away? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go vegan right away? Absolutely, you can. I mentioned earlier a sort of a stepwise way that we do it, but we don't. I encourage people not to take too long. There are some people who will say, "Oh, just do little small steps." I am really big on getting a reward. You make a big enough change that you feel good, that you see the difference. So that's why we take 1 week preparation, thinking about the foods that I like, look at my recipes, look at other recipes, look online, get set. And if I'm allergic to recipes because I just do not cook, fine. Look at what you eat in the restaurants that you go to, make your list, and then jump in and do it 3 weeks totally plant-based. Because I want you to feel that weight loss if that's what you're looking for. I want you to get that energy burst. I want you to feel like, I'm running faster than I ran last week.
Mm-hmm.
Feel that stuff because that's what's going to keep you going. If you just make a small change, you're thinking, well, I'm not really getting the reward and I'm not sure I want to keep doing it.
True. And what do you think about alcohol? Do you think people can still eat clean, plant-based, whole foods diets or plant-based and incorporate a little bit of alcohol? I feel like in any amount it's toxic, but what do you say about that?
Yeah, it is, unfortunately, and alcohol is a big part of every culture, and more or less
Mm-hmm.
every culture just about. And there have been some studies that have said people who drink a little bit every day or a modest amount frequently have less risk of heart disease or less risk of Alzheimer's disease. That may be true, but it may not be the wine. It may be the grape that actually
Yeah.
has the compounds in it that are helping you. And where we really got our cold bath was with breast cancer. There's just no question about it that women who consume alcohol, even 1 drink a day, have more breast cancer than other women. And there's just no threshold. And that's also true for colon cancer and basically every other form of the disease, not to mention ruined lives and so forth. So
Mm-hmm.
if a person is having alcohol, I would encourage you to keep it modest and intermittent. Don't let it be your 5 o'clock way of cooling down from the problems of the day. And best off really is to kind of skip it.
Yeah, absolutely. And exercise, do you think that's important too? Do you exercise daily? Do you advise people to exercise daily?
Exercise is great in whatever way you can bring it in. And I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know. You want your
Mm-hmm.
heart to get pumping, and you want to also use your muscles too. So people will do a cardio type workout, and they'll do as well things with weights to make sure that you preserve your muscle mass. They're both important. Be safe. You don't have to be a hero. You don't have to do all your exercise in one day, but
Mm-hmm.
exercise is a great thing. For me, my usual routine is I'll go about usually every other day I run about 3 miles or 4 or 5 miles, something like that. And if I have been really busy and I haven't gotten with it for a while, I find my endurance slacks off and it takes a little time to get, but I don't push. I just enjoy the run.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say something though. Let's say you cannot exercise. You've had some health issue. You're in a wheelchair. You've had a huge amount of weight gain, and exercise is just really not you right now. You can still do great. You can do really well. You do what you can, and you get on a healthy diet. And we have seen people have their diabetes improve with no change in their exercise at all. The reason I'm saying this is when we're studying diet, we don't put exercise in it because that confounds our research. We're zeroing in on diet. So we say to everybody, don't begin your exercise program now. I want to see just what diet alone will do. And we have seen diabetes disappear in people who aren't exercise. So exercise is great, but if you can't exercise, you'll still do great.
Yeah, okay. And this is an interesting question. I want to know this too. Is it bad for health to put 6 to 8 frozen bananas in a smoothie? I heard a few medical professionals say it is. Something about the glucose spikes and such. I had also a family member tells me she thinks it's too much potassium. Do you think that's too much like sugar or too much of one thing, mixing your smoothies with a bunch of bananas?
Bananas are fine, and I think your appetite will tell you, how much
Hmm.
you can tolerate. There have been a couple of studies suggesting that bananas and blueberries don't go well together, which is a kind of a bit of surprise because bananas will have an enzyme that can degrade anthocyanins. But on the other hand, we've seen that when people have a dessert with, let's say,
Hmm.
some chopped up bananas mixed with blueberries, mixed with other things, they still seem to get health benefits. So I'm not entirely sure what to make of these findings. But is it too much potassium? No. Is it too much starch? Not really. I wouldn't worry about it. Your appetite will tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been amazing. You just have so much knowledge. I love speaking with you. You've been so great at answering the viewers' questions. And I just have one last question. It's a totally different topic, but I just admire you a lot. You're very likable, very kind, very grounded. I feel like very positive. And you're a public figure. I feel like for a lot of people in the public eye or any part of life, like they can let pushback and negativity affect them. So, in this world of social media where there can be a lot of comments or this and that, how do you sort of stay grounded and keep so positive and not let any negativity get to you?
Well, I don't know if I have any great advice for other people. I can just tell you what I do is first of all, I feel that life is short
Hmm.
and there's a lot of suffering in this world. So we do what we can to try to alleviate it. And so whether that's other people, that people we see in our practice, or frankly, if it's the animals that people are putting on their plate, there are things that we can do to make the world a better place. If we have a goal and we have things that we're trying to do to make the world a better place, I think that orients us a little bit, and is helpful. In my own life, I work hard. I do a lot, but hopefully it's good. We work with a team, so you're not the Lone Ranger. And I also do a lot of music as well. I have a band called 𝑐arbonworks that's just released a new record, and it's cool. And we do music videos and things. So you kind of have a little bit of fun there too.
Yeah.
And if you put all those things together, have a little bit of purpose, have some fun, be around people that you love and love you back.
Yeah.
Those things might be helpful.
Yeah, I love that. And do you think, okay, so if people want to consume animal products in small amounts, say they're like, I'm healthy, I'm whole food plant-based, but I don't want to give up animal products altogether. I want to eat it like once a week or now and then. Do you think that that's okay or that that should just be cut altogether?
I think that if a person is in that space,
Hmm.
what they might want to discover is there are certain advantages to getting away from it. The first is that little amounts tend to grow into bigger amounts. The second thing is that the little amount is, well, why are you having it at all? Is it something that are you using to flavor your foods? If so, your taste buds would love to learn how to not have that anymore. And uh, I learned this growing up in North Dakota. If I would ever fly down into Atlanta and go into the Atlanta airport, the green beans that they would have in the airport cafeteria had little chunks of stuff in it. And I said to the cafeteria worker, what is that? They said, that's bacon or that's fatback. Well, we never put that stuff in the green beans where I grew up.
Yeah.
And they said, no, that's what makes it taste good. All these things are just learned. When you leave those animal products out, the beans taste better. And if, like me, you've ever been to a slaughterhouse
Hmm.
or you've ever killed an animal, as I'm embarrassed to say that I did as a child growing up, my father took us out with our shotguns and we killed ducks and geese and other animals.
Hmm.
I came to realize that we can be better than that and that we can be compassionate to those that we share this planet with. And that's a decision that I've made and that I encourage other people to adopt as well. Maybe the last thing to say is the planet is changing and we're degrading this planet that we have our feet planted on. We're degrading it by having cows that are belching methane into our atmosphere. It's a powerful greenhouse gas. We're degrading it by raising feed grains that instead of eating them ourselves, we feed them to animals, to pigs and to chickens. And it's wasteful. All of those processes aren't making this planet better. And when we realize that we're not built for animal agriculture and we really embrace that, I think we can not only take advantage of it ourselves, but we're giving the best gift we can to the people around us. If you got kids, the most wonderful thing you can do for your kids is to help them to have tastes and appreciation for foods that are going to keep them healthy lifelong. They've got so many things working against them. And when we give them that advantage, it really is a gift.
I love that. Great answer. You really have a way with words, and that was really wonderful. So, thank you for blessing us with your presence, your knowledge, and just your vibe, your aura, everything today. It's just added so much value and been amazing. So, if you can let everybody know where they can find you, and I will link everything down below as well.
Well, thank you. Our website is pcrm.org. That's Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, pcrm.org. If you look on Amazon, you'll see the Power Foods diet there. If you are a musician, go on YouTube and look at the 𝑐arbonworks Band YouTube channel. We got lots of videos there. Some will make you smile. Some might make you bite your tongue. See what you think.
I love that. And to the viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe for more awesome videos just like this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.